Hi lovelies and welcome back to this channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda's channel. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Don't forget to please subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so that anytime I upload a video, you will be the first person to be notified. And to my returning subscribers, thank you so much for all the love and support. To those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and also educate you guys are the real MVP. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Alright, lovelies, let's dive in. So, lovelies, I came across this video on my For You page on TikTok, and I thought to share with you guys where I have already, posted the first part in my previous video, and this is just like a continuation of the videos I was just able to put by this pan-colored, women and men actually sharing their experiences of forefathers and ancestors and all of that. I'm just gonna roll the clip as well as some of the stitches I was able to put together. Please give me your own thought and let's dive into it.
I enjoyed my story yesterday so much I decided I would tell some more, because like I said, I worked in long-term care facility for a while, so I have stories for days. Unfortunately, just a little warning, I don't have any story that's gonna top what I told yesterday. I told my best story first. But I would like to clarify that everything that I say is 100% true and nothing is a figment of my imagination, even though I really, really wish it was. Just a little history on me that's going to later pertain to this story. I'm a mom of two. I have a son and a daughter. I have a 3-year-old daughter that has a heart condition. So it's the peak of COVID. I'm about 5 to 6 months pregnant and I'm working the night shift again, 11 to 7. At this time, I'm working for an agency. So this agency sends me to different facilities every shift instead of just going to the same facility all the time. This facility that I went to this particular night, I had never been to before. When I walk in, the CNA that's leaving gives me a report and she tells me everything about my residents, everything I need to know, who's total assist and who's limited assistance. She tells me about this one resident that I have. And the way that the list normally goes is that you have room numbers at least adjacent to each other. So for example, if you have room 11, you usually have room 12 across the hall, room 13 across the hall, depending on how the facility is set up. I literally had 9, 10, 11, and 16. 16 was all the way at the end of the hall. That was this resident at the end of the hall in room 16. This resident was at the end of the hall and she was also in the room all by herself. She proceeds to tell me that when I go in this room, do not tell this resident anything about myself. If she asks anything personal, change the subject or lie. I said, okay. She goes on to tell me that this resident believes that she is the reincarnation of Jesus Christ himself. Not the craziest thing I've heard, but strange nonetheless. So I start my rounds working from my first room all the way down to the end. Like I said, she's room 16. Again, I'm 6 months pregnant, so I'm probably moving a little slow. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I finally get down there to her room and this CNA that was helping me out pretty much my whole shift, she comes with me. She said, don't go in there by yourself. She comes in there with me. The resident wanted us to help her find her remote because this resident was also blind. When I go to hand her the remote, she grabs my hand. She looks at me and she asks me what my name is. Again, the CNA told me not to tell her anything personal, so I lied and I told her that my name was Ashley. She kind of smirks. She takes the remote and she says, okay, ladies, that's all I need right now. I said, okay, easy enough. This is going to be an easy night. This is going to be a breeze. I go finish up the rest of my round, and by the time I finish up the rest of my round, her call light is on again. So I make my way down to the end of the hall. The nurse aide, she comes with me again this time. This resident was bedbound, but she could use a bedpan. She didn't want to use a brief or anything like that. At the time, we didn't have a bedpan in the room, so the CNA actually had to leave to go get a bedpan out of the supply closet. So I'm just standing there kind of waiting for the other CNA to come back. And the resident starts reciting Galatians 6 and 9. For let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. What's so interesting about this scripture is that that's literally my favorite scripture. After she says that, she looks over at me. I'm standing by the door at this point. And she asks me if I believe. I tell her, well, it depends on what we're talking about believing it. She says, do you believe in Jesus Christ? I said, yes, ma'am, I do. So she tells me, I'm the reincarnation of Jesus Christ. So anything you do to me shall be done unto you. At this point, I'm like, where's this girl with this bedpan? I wrap it up. We get on the bedpan, get everything taken care of. I leave. I go out into the little staffed area and I go eat me some snacks and drink me something. And I'm just chilling, watching Netflix. About an hour or so later, her call light goes back off. At this point, the other CNA has went outside to take a smoke break. Instead of me making a huge big deal out of it, I just went down there by myself. I'm like, she probably doesn't even need anything. I go in her room and all the lights are off at this point. Her lights weren't off the whole shift. Like I said, it doesn't really matter because she was blind, but the lights were off. She was literally sitting in the dark. I go to reach my hand on the wall to cut the light on, and she tells me to leave them off. I say, okay. So I go over to her to see what she needs. She turns over and she looks at me and she says, Brittany, you're pregnant, aren't you? Excuse me? I didn't say anything. Didn't say anything. She says, you're pregnant with a little girl. That's so sweet. Too bad your baby has a broken heart. Where's your God now? This is information nobody knew except for me, her father, and my close relatives. And when I tell you to this day, I still don't understand how that woman knew such intimate details about myself when I never told her nothing like that. Never told her nothing like that. Y'all already know what I did. Called up my recruiter. Yes, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I told her that I will no longer be returning to this facility. I'm going to finish my shift out. Do not send me back here. And I meant every word that I said.
This is a story I swear I would never tell or talk about again, but my mom really wants me to tell it, so here we go. When I was in 5th grade, a new girl came to our school, and I didn't know her at all, but my mom and dad knew her mom and dad wanted me to hang out with her. Well, she was in 6th grade. She was a year older than me, and she had 2 younger sisters, and she was there 2 weeks or something like that, and they set up a slumber party sleepover thing or whatever. I get over to her house, but first let me add, okay, her house was out in the middle of nowhere, and it was a log cabin that her dad had built, and it was this 2-story lofty type cabin thing, and her parents were upstairs, but her dad had made in the girls' room built-in bunk beds in the wall, so they were 3 high, right? And the little sister was going to sleep in the floor, and I was going to sleep in the middle, right? So you had to climb the ladder on the outside of the beds and then climb into the bed, which I thought was cool. I was fine with it. But immediately when I got to the house that day, it was heavy, and it kind of felt like something was like the air was thick or something. So she kept acting weird the whole time that I was there, and she would look to the left and right and back and forth, and I'm like, what are you looking at? And she's like, oh, nothing. And then the little sister goes, she sees this woman. Ghosts weren't new to me, but I knew this didn't feel like a ghost. It felt like something else. I would see this dark shadow show up and then go away, and then around the corner I saw these fingers come around the edge and then go like this, around the door frame, but they weren't regular fingers. They were these really elongated black, and the nails weren't pointy. They were longer, but they looked like they had been digging in something. They were a brown dirt. This was scary, whatever it was, right? So I'm already planning my escape. I'm already okay, I'm gonna wait till bedtime, and I'm gonna call my mom, and I'm gonna say I'm sick or something, so she has to come and get me. We were out there, like I said, in the middle of nowhere, and then her dad was oh man, the phones are messed up again, and he comes in for dinner, and I'm like, what do you mean the phones are messed up? So this was 92, I guess, something like that. And he's like, yeah, they get down sometimes. And I'm like, well, what if I need to go home? And he said, well, I'll take you home. It's fine if you need to go home. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm stuck out here, right? I'm not going to be hey, I need you to take me home, because my dad would have ripped me a new one. Y'all know that he was mean, and he would have been so mad if I would have made this guy bring me home for nothing, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to stay here. Well, that night we go to get into bed, and she has jeans on. And I'm like, why are you sleeping in jeans? And she said, because I can't feel her scratch my legs in jeans. I'm like, feel who? What do you mean? Who? The little sister goes, the woman, the girl that she sees, scratches her legs at night. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God, what do you mean? Well, is she going to try to scratch my legs? And she said, no, because you're in the middle bunk, she only gets mine. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me, right? You got to be kidding me. Well, we play games, we do whatever, and the whole time I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to see this woman. I've already seen her hands. What am I going to do? And climb up, we go to get in bed. I'm not tired at all, not at all. And all I can think about is this woman, right? Why is my friend in jeans to keep from feeling her hands? What is going to happen? And under the bottom bed, there was a nook thing, for storage or whatever. So something could get under that. And I'm like, oh, so I climb up this ladder thing. I'm getting sweaty just talking. I'm getting red just talking about it. That was horrible. I climb up the ladder. I get in the middle bunk. So I'm trapped. It felt like I was in a coffin or something, because the bed was above me and there was a bed below me. So I'm in this box in the wall, and I'm like, I can't. I was having a panic attack. I'm like, oh my God, I can't sleep in here. They had it total darkness, no noise, no anything but fear, right? The only thing I could hear was my heart slamming in my chest, and my ears were womp, womp, womp. I'm like, oh my God. Then I hear like the bottom bunk like creak, you know, what's happening down there. And instead of just like not looking, like curiosity, you know, got the best of me. So I lean over, y'all, and this thing is like leaned over her. It's not in the bed with her, but it's like if it was kneeling beside her, and it's just going like dragging down her jeans. It sounded like that, you know, like dragging down jeans. So I'm looking down at this thing, hearing this, and then I look at my friend, and my friend's just like that. She goes, so I freeze, right? So this goes on for a long time. It was me still peeking over the side, like looking, and you hear like, and then she just stops, and then like retreats and sucks back under that bottom bunk. Turns out they had a Ouija board in that nook underneath the bed that she had made, a homemade Ouija board underneath the bed. Horrible, horrible. I have never been so scared in my life. Let's just say I made it through the night. First thing in the morning, I was like, I'm ready to go, because my mom wasn't supposed to come get me till like noon. This was like 9 o'clock, and he's like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I don't feel too good. Can you just take me home? I didn't care at that point what my dad said or did. I wanted to get the hell out of that log cabin in the woods. So he takes me home. I tell my mom, and she's like, well, you don't have to go back again. I'm like, no, I'm never going back.
Alright, I'm back with another stitch to this, and happy Memorial Day, everybody, because today is Memorial Day when I'm recording this. So while we all give thanks and remembrance of our past loved ones, I'm going to tell a story of one of mine. So this story is actually Momo's story. So that is my grandmother's grandmother, and if you watched my latest stitch, I told the story of when she actually came to see my grandmother in the hospital when she had her first baby after she had passed. Well, this is paranormal because she was seeing spirits, but this is more of sort of like an end-of-life phenomenon thing that happened with Mama. Now, she is the one that I am named after in my family. Her name was Zenith Marie. I am Cheyenne Marie. She had the gift of being able to see spirits and hear them, and I also have that same gift, and it kind of has gotten passed down to every woman throughout our family, but she had it like very, very strong. She constantly had stuff going on. She was a very superstitious person, so when she came to the end of her life, she started having some really crazy things happen. She had had a stroke, like a bad one, and she had lost the use of one side of her body, and she was still trying to go through recovery and get that back, and she just never did quite get it fully. But she knew that she was going to be passing soon, even though there were no signs that she was going to be going. Everyone thought that she was going to make a full recovery, and she just came to my grandma's mom one day, and she was like, I want to go back home, which meant to Ohio. I'm from Illinois, so they lived in Illinois, and she's like, I want to go back home, like, I'm going to be going soon, and I want to die there and be buried with her late husband, where he was buried in the cemetery there. And so everybody just thought it was kind of strange, but she ended up being right. They moved back to Ohio, and it was maybe 2 months later, she had a massive heart attack and passed. But during that 2 months, she started saying some crazy off-the-wall stuff. She would just be sitting in a room, my grandma said. Now, my grandma was there, and Mama would just start looking at things that weren't there, and like she was watching people go by, and she would lean over and she would say, do you see them? And of course, everybody in the room would get freaked out, and they'd be like, see what? Who? Like, what are you talking about? She got all these people. And she just kept saying, do you see all of these people that are in here? They're everywhere. And she was just seeing like mass amounts of spirits all over this house, but especially in her bedroom. She had a hard time sleeping because she said that there were people talking to her. She just kept saying, I don't know who any of these people are, which to me is kind of strange, because usually when somebody's seeing spirits right before they pass, it's spirits of their family members that have come to collect them. But she said that she did not know any of these people. And she just kept saying that the room was just like crowded, like packed full of all of these random spirits of people. And it freaked my grandma and her sister out so bad that they did not want to go into Mama's bedroom with her, especially in the dark. Well, then it started, she would come out of her bedroom and said that she was hearing knocking on her headboard, which, if you're not familiar with, usually is associated with a demonic presence being in a house or coming for somebody as they're getting ready to pass. I don't know if the knocks came in threes or anything like that, but she said that almost every night something was knocking on her headboard and it would keep her awake at night, which is freaky beyond belief to think of something just like, you know, knocking on, like, oh, hey, let me in. Like, but I guess it freaked out everybody that was in the house. My grandma had that one experience with Momo's spirit after she had passed, so I can safely say that no demons got a hold of her. She very much passed on to where she was supposed to be, but she had a hell of a time right at the end of her life with spirit just surrounding her. All kinds of people, she said, moving throughout the house, moving around her room, talking to her at night, and then that weird knocking on the headboard. So that one kind of freaks me out, and now I'm like really nervous for whenever I get old and my time comes, because I do not want to hear anything knocking for me.
In high school, when I was younger, something pretending to be my mom came into my room late at night, and it wasn't her. So my family actually lived in a haunted house. It was crazy because we built the house, and there was nothing on the land before. But literally on the very first day that we moved in, my mom and dad and I brought boxes to the house and left my sister there while we went back to our old house to pick up more boxes. And by the time we came back with the new boxes, my sister was trying to take the screen off of our window and climb out of the house because she said she heard men in the kitchen talking, so she had locked her bedroom door. And yeah, she was the only one in the house at the time. So let's fast forward a little bit. It's October of 2013. Stuff had been happening in the house. My sister and I kept telling my parents that there's things that are going on, but they weren't really believing us. It was kind of like a horror movie. So it's October 2013. I'm sitting in my bedroom. Here's my room. My sister's room is right here. A long hallway right here, then an open floor plan with a kitchen, living room, and then my parents' bedroom on the other side of the kitchen. So I heard somebody moving around dishes and stuff in the actual kitchen area. So I thought it was my mom. I said, "Hey, Mom, are you out there?" And I heard my mom say, "Yeah," like exactly like that. And I'm like, "Could you bring me a glass of water?" Because I was already in bed. I don't know why I asked that, but I heard my mom respond back and say, "Yeah, I'm coming," like something like that. So I'm thinking I'm getting some water. My mom's going to come, bring it to me. And I heard that. It's so crazy. I hear her walking down the hallway all the way up to my bedroom door. And right when the footsteps get to my bedroom door, silence. Keep in mind, it's pitch black. I'm just in my bed. And I hear my mom, or what I think is my mom, get down on the floor on all fours. I had carpet in my bedroom. And it was like she scurried around my bed, like going around my bed. And I literally was like, "Mom, what the hell are you doing?" And I got up and I took my phone out and turned my flashlight on. The moment I turned the flashlight on, noises stopped completely. And I'm like, oh my God, I get chills. There's nobody in here. There was literally nobody in the room. And shortly after that, my sister came out of her bedroom and was asking what the hell happened. She had heard my mom's voice as well, and she heard me screaming. And that's when we both went and got my parents. And yeah, the story of that is actually insane. We ended up having psychics come to try and cleanse the house. It didn't work. There was a time when my dad thought someone broke into the house, so he got a weapon and was walking around the house trying to make sure no one was in there. No one was in there. Tons of different stuff. We also discovered there might be pioneer settlers buried under the grounds of the house. I went down to the courthouse in South Dakota to look all of it up. And yeah, I could go on for days and days with ghost stories, but that was definitely the creepiest. Hearing my mom's voice and it walking up to my door and then crawling around on all fours. That's some shit that I don't know if people really believe still. I don't know if you're believing this, but that 100% happened to me. And that was one of the reasons why I got into the career of wanting to paranormal investigate. Because once you have an experience like that, you're kind of in the world and you can't get out of it. At least I couldn't.
Okay, so completely true story. Years ago, there was a television network that I was on in the United States, and they were opening a brand new studio in Los Angeles. And they wanted key personalities to be on the air for the inaugural broadcast because it was all live television. So they flew me out to Los Angeles along with a whole bunch of other people. It was a big star-studded event. Got to meet LaToya Jackson. That's not what we're talking about, though. We'll move on from that. So they put me up at this hotel called the Hotel Normandy. And it was an old hotel. You could just tell it had like a lot of history, a lot of energy. I checked in probably like 11:30, 11:45, midnight. Went to my room immediately upon walking in that room. And you guys, I can only explain this by telling you, have you ever had that feeling where you knew you were being watched and you turned around and you were being looked at? This is the same kind of feeling. I didn't physically see a person in the room, but I'm telling you that there was a man standing in the corner of that room. I just knew it without a shadow of a doubt. I knew that there was something in the room with me. So I quickly put down my clothes, my bag, turned and walked out, and I was leaving the hotel, found this little bar on the corner. I walked in, sat down by myself, which I'm pretty used to because I've done television for a long time and I've traveled a lot alone. I'm sitting there at the bar, and there were these two individuals, the bartender and one other person, who were talking. And you know how you can just tell that these people were not tourists. These people were locals by the way that they were communicating with one another. So I asked them, I said, hey, guys, do you mind if I ask you a question really quick? What's the deal with this hotel? And the bartender did not miss a beat. He looked at me, he said, what did you see? I said, well, I mean, it's not that I saw something necessarily, but there was someone, he said, standing in the corner of your room. I said, absolutely, yes, 100%. They said, yeah, he said, we get a lot of people that come in here and talk about the man that was standing in their room. So, I just got chills just thinking about it. So then after I finished a drink, I was tired, I went back to the hotel, and I just happened to go by the front desk, and there were two individuals standing there, and I said, hey, crazy question. Has anyone ever complained about a haunting of their hotel room? And the girl very quickly kind of looked over at the guy, and then the guy said, what room are you in? And I told him the room. I can't tell both of them the room. I can't remember. Let's just say 217. And she goes, oh. And I looked over at her, but then she got real quiet all of a sudden. And then the guy goes, well, nothing's ever been reported from that room. Just letting you know. And I ended up having to stay in that hotel room for the duration of my trip. And at one point, I just needed to get some sleep. The door would tap the bathroom sink. It would just kind of like tap it. And I would have to say, please, I'm just needing to get some sleep. It would get quiet for a little bit. But sure enough, it's just as soon as I'm breathing, I'm telling you, there was a man in that room. Sure.
That video that you made is really haunted, because myself, and I know based on other videos that you made, others have had some issues trying to stitch this video with this app glitching, and I'm already at my 5th attempt because my app or this phone has been glitching seriously. Oh, but second, as I'm struggling with the glitches of this app, trying to record this video, there's this massive windstorm that occurred outside, like howling outside. And unfortunately, we left the window to my bathroom open on the 2nd level, and it knocked something down to the ground. So that happened, and now it's quiet. So I don't know. I'm hoping that this goes well, but here we go. I've shared the story twice on this app, so please take it with a grain of salt, but I promise you that what I'm about to tell you really did happen. And I had justification and verification of this occurrence, and I also have pictures of it as proof or evidence, but I digress. So I've been researching and investigating the paranormal for almost 10 years. I even have a podcast talking about everything that I research and everything that's haunted in and around Los Angeles. I'm also from a very haunted city, New Orleans, so I've seen enough and had things happen to me, but nothing compared to what I'm about to tell you. In 2018, I was picking up a sewing machine from a sewing machine vacuum cleaner repair shop in Burbank, and I've been working with this company for several years. So on one particular evening, I go to the shop to pick up a sewing machine that needed repair. I go inside, I pay for the repairs. The manager who knows me asked if he, can help me load the machine into my car. I said yes. So he does so. We chatted outside, said our goodbyes. I get in my car and I record a TikTok to send to a friend. After I sent it, she sends me a message back saying, LOL, I like the soundbite, but who's standing in front of your car? Or it looks like someone's in your car. I don't know, but there's this weird reflection on the lenses of your sunglasses. So I'm going to show you the still shot of the video, and I'm going to show you the up close version as well. But when I went back to look at it, it gave me massive chills down my back, but here it is. So as you can see right here, there's a face. It looks like a face. And when I first posted this video, many people were like, no, that's your reflection. Trust me, I thought that was me too, but then I noticed, wait, I'm wearing red lipstick and I'm also wearing gold hoop earrings. And I did a close-up of this image and I'm like, that is not me though, because it looks very masculine and it looks like it has like a beard, a stubble, and it looks like whoever is in this picture is bald. Definitely looks like a man, and he is wearing these massive sunglasses. And so I send this video and these images to some friends of mine who are in the paranormal field. They're completely perplexed. They're like, Tammy, I don't know what that is, but I hope it doesn't follow you home. To which I remember sitting in my car saying, whatever was in this image or my video, you're not welcome in my space. Because at that time, I was doing a lot of paranormal investigations, so Lord knows how open I was to having these things appear in front of me, if you know what I mean. We'll get to that later. So the very next day, I'm running errands and I stop in a coffee shop to grab coffee just to take a little break. I sit down with my coffee and something tells me to call the shop. Right when I call, the manager, Matt, answers and I'm like, Matt, this is Tammy. I have something to ask you. And it's all out of respect, and I'm very serious about this, but bear with me, okay? Is your shop haunted? And without hesitation, he's like, yes. And I told him I caught something on my camera when I was recording a video in front of the shop. And this image that appeared on the lenses of my glasses looks like a man. And he pauses again. He's like, okay. And I asked him, what do you think it is? Like, who do you think it is? How long has this been happening? Can you elaborate? He said, yes, that's Frank. And I'm like, great, you gave it a name. And I'm like, who's Frank? And he said, well, Frank used to work in the shop a few years back, and he died on his way to work. And he died of a heart attack as he was riding his bike to work, and I was the last person that he spoke to right before he passed. And he literally passed away almost a half a mile away from the store. And ever since his passing, weird things have been happening in and around the shop, and they still happen. Things from tools in our workstations disappearing and reappearing in different places. Footsteps and a man's voice in the back room when no one's there. Lights flickering on and off and things falling off the shelves. I asked him, like, why do you think that is Frank? He said, because this is all he knew. He was a man of very little means. He didn't have friends. He didn't have anything. He had us and this job. He said he would come back. Asked him if I could bring him the pictures and video to show him. And he said, yeah, come by tomorrow. The owner will be here and we'll take a look at it. The next day when I got there and I showed the owner and Matt the video and the pictures, their faces turned completely white. And the look that they had on their face was like they were looking at a very old friend of theirs. And they said, that is Frank. 100%. That is exactly what he looked like. And I asked him, do you have a picture of him? And they said no, because Frank wasn't the type of guy to take pictures. He didn't like his picture being taken. And he was, very old school. He had these big paw Terminator looking glasses. They were like sunglasses that elderly people wear. And we would always joke about him wearing those glasses. He had a flip phone. He had a bike. He didn't have a lot, but all he had was us and this job. A few weeks later, I go and ask a friend of mine who's a psychic medium about what happened to me. I showed him the pictures and the video, and he was like, Tammy, it makes sense because you do so many investigations that you've opened yourself so much to these things occurring. And, little do you know, you're very sensitive. Like, you're really, really sensitive to the point where you can actually see these things now. And that made sense. And ever since then, I took a little break. I definitely took a little break from it. And I still see things every now and then. But yeah, I still, remember Frank and we'll never forget this occurrence. But like I said, take it with a grain of salt.
Lovelies, I actually want to shed more light about the reason why I decided to put up this video. So I was just going through my For You page on TikTok. I stumbled across a sister, narrating her story about her encounter with a pan-colored old man who is in his 90s. So she went ahead to share a story about her encounter with this old elderly pan-colored man. So she was supposed to be working for this man. So one day she, when she resumed the work and all of that, this man in question was always in pain and always, trying to like, let me alone, leave me and all of that. So she shared her story, and this is actually what prompted me in, trying to like search for such stories that is in connection with what she shared. So for the sake of people that didn't actually follow up the first video I made about the ghosts of our ancestors and all of that, chasing these people, because why I decided to make or to stitch the video is because of all of these things that has been happening with whatever that happened in the past, with the enslavement, with the oppressions and all of that. I keep asking myself, is it that after all of this there's no sort of repercussion, and those people that own slaves and all of that never experienced anything, or like they just decided that they abolished slavery and they were giving reparations, because some of all the slave owners actually received reparation. So I was like, why is it that, okay, these people received reparation, and the people that actually, suffered the curse, their descendant never received nothing? So this is a kind of injustice. And I was like, what really happened with those people? I was just trying to ask myself and trying to like, let me see if there is any story that have to be in connection with that, or what really happened with the people that owns the slaves and all of that. So later on, I stumbled across this, sister narrating the story. She talked about how when she resumed the work, so this man is an elderly man that is in his 90s, and every time anyone works for this man, these people get scared and run away from the man. So she, as a sister, she's actually a black lady in her, I think she's in her 30s, or maybe probably late 20s and early 30s and all of that. She said at her first day of resumption, she noticed some kind of weird things in the house of the said elderly man. She noticed that the mirrors were all covered. The mirrors were all covered with clothes, and that is all. And the man in question is always, on the floor or on his bed. Is always, behaving and talking or saying some weird things. So one day, when she got to work one day in the morning, she got to work on a particular day. She noticed that they said man is not in his room, but in a basement. She went downstairs to actually check for him, and she realized that this man was all cold and covered up. He was just shivering, So she went ahead to ask him, what is wrong? Are you okay? And all of that. The man was like, I hear him and his son is here. She was like, who is here? Who is here? Then he now confessed to her that during his old days, like during his 20s, he had a slave that was working for him in his farm or plantations. Most of all these white folks, they own slaves and all of that, like personal servants and all of that. So one thing led to the other, his wife got pregnant and all of that. And on the day of the wife delivery, his own mother and his brothers were all, around. Then the wife delivered a boy that was not supposed to be, like, I think he's a mischild or something. So the mother and the brothers now realized that this woman actually gave birth to, So they actually decided to do whatever they want to do with the baby. Like, they were so angry with the wife and all of that. And after they must have done that, him and the slave guy was in the plantation working while all of this was happening. So He came, were like, where my wife have given birth, where is the baby? They were like, we have taken care of the baby is not yours. I think, the one in the plantation was, so later on, after they must have, he was like, where is the baby? He's like, okay, we have done whatsoever we want to do with the baby. You know what it means. So they now decided to go to that plantation and do the same thing that they did to the baby to that man, the black man. And after that, they did whatever in the farm, and then till date, this man now opened up that the black man and his son is always tormenting him. Like, they are always all around him, tormenting him, trying to, like, and all of that. Then somebody asked in the comment section that why is it that they are actually tormenting this man who happens to be in his 90s. What happened to his brothers? Then the sister was like, the brothers already have some kind of terrible, ending. One was in a house fire, the other one was in an accident, and all of that. And after this man must have, explained this and opened up to this sister, he was just there. He was just all cool. Like, he was very cold. Then when she now decided to call the doctor, the nurses to come checking up, they told her that the said man she think that she has been talking with is long gone. Like, and all the mirrors that was covered with a cloth, all of them were now, were uncovered. So on the process of her leaving the house, she saw something behind her in the mirror that was covered, something like a very tall dark shadow, something that just walked out with a small shadow. So this actually got me thinking. I was like, that means the ancestors are actually out taking their revenge unknowingly to people. Like, maybe they are actually receiving the reparations. Like, maybe they are just out there trying to, like, okay, because there are some people that even if you do what they will want to, like, retaliate. There are some stubborn spirits that you cannot do, especially if this person was so nice to you. Seriously. So this got my interest. I was like, if this sister can actually share something like this as a black person, what would happen if maybe, let's hear it from the white folks? Because when I actually posted the video where I was talking about, some people were like, okay, it's not in connection, and some people were like, oh, because some of their videos or some of their stages were in connection, why some are still. But both our contention of this video is that things are really happening on this earth. Like, there are things that are just something that you cannot even answer the questions. I believe that, people that have been done wrongly, or they, in one way or the other, try to, like, send us message, even if they don't want to come to those people that did something to them directly. They might want to, show themselves, like, they want to show themselves with their relations and any other person that has a spiritual eyes. So these people sharing the stories, especially that of the woman that talked about it was actually a child, with a darker skin complexion, brown skin and all of that. I was like, if this thing is so real, that means some of our ancestors never even rested. Like, they are still roaming around trying to we need reparation. We need to be freed. There are so many atrocities that actually happened in the past that, even speaking of which, today is something scary that a lot of us cannot even stand to hear about it. There are so many of this scary stuff that the first time I even stitched of that video, there is something that happened. The first time I stitched the video, I don't even want to say because I was so scared. Like, I can't believe that I woke up and I see some scratch on my body. Like, I was like, I have never had a scratch before. Like, what, in my two toes? I was like, just one scratch. I was like, where did I get this scratch from? I don't understand. Where did I get this scratch from? I never remember. I didn't remember ever maybe accounting something, or like I was like, what is this? So I decided to put the part one. I was not able to put out all the videos in one because it's might going to be so bulky. That was why I was like, okay, let me just put part one, and this is just the continuation. And if you're here and you have had most of this experience, or maybe have someone that have told you, maybe opened up, you could just share it in the comment section, because I'm just trying to like understand something. If what I'm, where I'm getting, if it's actually like, I'm just trying to look for answers and all of that. Somebody, DM'd me that she was going to send me a video of the meaning of the, mirror, the covered mirrors and all of that. And I'm yet to receive the video. She also, said that she have sent it to me, so I'm yet to receive the video. And if you're here watching, if you're the person that actually that's in the comment section, I've written you. I have like, I need the video. I just want to like, because most times, most of our family here send me videos that I react to, like some things that I react to, and I really appreciate you people for that. I really appreciate the knowledge that you guys are giving me. It's actually, makes me feel as if we are just here as a one big family. We are just here for a common purpose, to just, learn, broaden our knowledge and all of that. So if you have any videos that you would want me to react to, and maybe look into it and make more research and get more stitches about it, you could just send it either on my Instagram or Facebook and all of that. You could just do that. The link is on the description, or actually on my page. Anyways, lovelies, why not just leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video. And do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying, harassment, or whatsoever. We're just here for educational purposes. So please share this video, subscribe to this channel if you're yet to do that, and I will see you, lovelies, when I upload. I've watched up to this extent. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Why not just leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video. And do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying, harassment, or whatsoever. We're just here for educational purposes. So please share this video, subscribe to this channel if you're here to do that. And I will see you, lovelies, when I upload the next.